All right, good morning, everyone. How's everybody doing? Excellent. So welcome to this amazing session. I'll let you be the judge of that. Very quickly, I want to spend a good 20 minutes talking about myself. I'm kidding. But quickly, my name is Benjamin Nyland. I work at ShareGate. Come by anytime. Let's have some discussions. We don't need to talk about any of the products. It's just hang out. That's really what it all is about at Ignite. So I'm not going to spend more time. Usually I would spend a good 20 minutes. That would be great. But no. I want to talk to you about when we move to Office 365, I see a lot of confusion. And I see a lot of migrations. Go a lot of conferences as well. I see a lot of customers. And we're talking a lot about, I'm on Office 365, Ben. And I'm like, well, are you really on? I understand what you mean. You may be online, but there's a difference between being hosted by Microsoft on Office 365 and then being on Office 365, right? Because what we're seeing is we come from an on-premises location, right? We're on-prem. We're used to a few servers that we control everything. So we've got the Exchange server, we've got the SharePoint server, we've got file shares, obviously, and maybe you went all the way in with Skype for Business, with Voice over IP or Link server, depending on the decade. And so we controlled everything, and it was very top-down. One time, I had a customer come and say, okay, Benjamin, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do this migration. We have a lot. We have 4 site collections. Okay, that'll be fine. But for them, going to 4 site collections was an immense feat because that only happened if you reach thousands of subsites. Because for them, it was top-down, control everything, permissions, who's going to have access to what, who can grant permissions, what can be created in these lists. So it's completely different. There's controlled deployment. You have in the elevator, there's that sign that says, hey, we're going to new office. There's a ribbon now. You prepare it. You roll it out. You control the adoption. You control the rollout. Everybody still doing okay? All right, just checking. And so you control all of this. Then you move on, and then you do your migration to Office 365. But, we're really just online now. Somebody else is paying for the server. Right? It's just moving as we were, and that's fine. A lot from the data that I have and our migrations, I'm seeing a lot of people doing that. You're not wrong to do this. It's easier. You have to look at how much time it takes to migrate. You want to reduce that time. You want to reduce the errors. Obviously, that's perfect. When you move to Office 365, I call it more, you're still talking in SharePoint Online, or you're talking Exchange Online. You still have that because you're talking products. You're still top-down. Maybe you switch SharePoint from classic to modern, but that doesn't matter. You're really just creating site collections, thinking who's going to have access to what, controlling, giving it to the business unit. Here's your new site. Everything is just like it was before. So we didn't yet get the benefits of all of Office 365. And sure, we gained some automatic updates, better security, and stuff like that. But then there's that last step, that transformation everybody's talking about, the buzzwords, modern workplace, digital workplace. Basically, it's just completely changing how we work. And people are used to it in the consumer world. And some even at work, I'll just create my own Evernote. Or I'll go and create my own little Trello board. Or if I'm annoyed at IT, I'm going to go to Dropbox. And if they block it, I'm going to go to Google Drive. And block it, I'm going to go to block it, I'm going to find WeTransfer.com. Ha! You didn't block it. And it's always kind of like that, where we go get our own tools, self-service. I go grab whatever I need to get the work done and forget IT. I don't want, they bother me. There's too much trouble because they control everything and then it takes, whew. What's interesting is that none of us really know the path to this modern workplace. Okay, we're talking about Teams. We're talking about Planner. We're talking about group-connected team sites. We're talking about Hub. We're talking about doesn't matter which product they use. They can use whatever communication method. We're like, whoa, hold on. Where's all this control? So there's also another aspect of it. I'm not going to spend another 45 minutes on Office 365 groups. Usually I would because it's my favorite topic. But we're talking about multiple products now. You're not just saying, okay, I have the Exchange server, I'm going to control what I'm going to roll out, or I have the SharePoint server, and I'm going to control the rollout. We're just going to do team sites for a year. We're going to see how that works. Then we're going to create a little bit more business process websites. We're going to see what template works. We're going to adapt the support. No. It's flat. There's no more top-down, right? Everything, if you want to go modern SharePoint, it's flat hierarchy. Hello, right? You're going to deploy all of that. There's going to be new updates. Hey, there's a new button now. There's going to be constant updates. And now every time you create one of these products, it creates the other products as well. So if you create a team site, you get an Outlook mailbox with a calendar. You get a planner. If you have Power BI Pro, you get, I shouldn't say this, I have colleagues here, but at work, we have a data team. And they do Power BI stuff. They're really great at it. They do tons of that. And all of a sudden, in just a few weeks, I looked at my list of site collections in SharePoint, and we had hundreds of Office 365 groups with just Power BI being used because they didn't really understand the impact that they were having. So with all of these, but what's happening? They're working here, right? My friend is working in his Power BI. What did he just generate? An email address. Let's not talk about that school where there's a student who created a new group with the name of the dean. Send emails to teachers, get him an A. And so it goes in Active Directory, creates a new user or a new group, a new object in there. It goes SharePoint, reserves the URL. So there's a lot of things we need to start thinking about with Office 365 groups. Oh, I have to bring it closer, I think. And so this opens up a whole model, but we need this at the same time. We can't just stay in the model where we deploy and control because it's not what's expected in the real world nowadays. People are used to open up whatever they want. It's a subscription model. It's a subscription consumer world, right? So we expect the same thing. So what I decided to do is I went and I asked the question. I went online, I went to conferences, and I say, do you have self-service on? Do you have it off? And then if not, what's stopping you? And the funniest part was as a lady at a conference, she tells me with a lot of confidence, no, absolutely not. We do not have any self-service in our organization. But recently we deployed Teams and we really like it. All right, I don't think you understand. And she didn't realize that in an organization with thousands of users, they had stopped or thought they had stopped SharePoint self-service to just create sites whenever you want. They had a process, approval, stayed in Classic. They said, we're not ready for modern yet. But they had hundreds of Microsoft Teams. It was in self-service. Thus, it comes with a SharePoint site that's in modern. And she left the session. I got to get back to work. And so it's a completely different world. And I could hear IT saying, yes, I want to have self-service, but no. And so we dig down a little bit. And I see that it's not really a fear, FOMO, a fear of missing out. They're not scared of missing out. They're really fear of losing control because you're still accountable for your environment. So some of the words that we saw is proliferation is bad. These are actual quotes from people that saw it in their environment. Proliferation is bad because it leads to fragmentation, duplication of content, user searches, user assumes it doesn't exist already, creates another copy. Now we have 3 marketing SharePoint sites. These are things that are happening to every user. I had another friend, MVP, focused on security, and really talked about, well, we're in a regulated environment. I need to make sure that all the information, I need to know where it lives. I need to know who owns it. I need to know if there's an issue, if there's a breach, and what kind of security aspect goes on it. And we just essentially want to avoid sprawl that we saw in previous versions if you deployed SharePoint or if you had a file share that you just let go. You know that file? Last modified date, 1998. I'll just leave it there. I'm not sure. I'll just leave it. And this is one of my favorites. We were just sat down and listed what are the things that we need to make sure. These are the pains. And these are the things that you have to look into to make sure that you have something in place. And I'll cover some of the options that you have available. But there's a lot of sessions here at Ignite that are more than 20 minutes that go inside all of these options. But in short, one of the bigger problems is naming conventions. What name? I don't want to show up with 40 marketing. Okay, marketing what? What's going on in here? What's it for? Which business unit? Which department? Where? What area? What geolocation is this for? Not just marketing. And then if you use Microsoft Teams to create a team, it doesn't check for the display name. So you can have 7 Office 365 groups with 7 teams with 7 SharePoint sites called marketing, but the URL will have an automatically generated GUID numbers, right? So these are kind of things that you have to put into place as well to see every day what are the sites created. You can write a PowerShell script, but it's always good to look at all the recently created groups every day if you can, if you're in a self-service model. The naming conventions. There are naming conventions or naming policies that you can put in place in Office 365 for your groups, was recently announced. The life cycle management of your Office 365 groups. Creation, living with sharing, external sharing, anonymous links, all the way to the end. Can anybody tell me what groups are no longer being used? And the worst part is that ownership has flipped. It's no longer IT who created the site, who owns the site, who knows about the site. It's somebody else, somebody who did it. So the end of life cycle, now if you pay for Azure AD Premium, then you'll be able to get the created date plus the amount that you specify. You can decide to automatically delete the site, but that's not how the world works. I have to make sure there's no activity. Maybe I want to keep it. Maybe I don't want to keep it. Content duplication, same thing. Classification for policies, we've seen that in the keynote. If you went to the Office 365 keynote, they've added classification for groups or for sites, for Exchange mailboxes for a long time. But recently, it goes beyond retention. It goes also with security. So this is a must. And I've been saying this for a while. Start today. Go right now and make sure you have site classification or group classification. They change the wording every so often. Make sure you go set it up. Even if you have no policies set up, you want to make sure that you can classify groups at the creation so that you can set up policies. What's happening in the Office 365 space is they've abstracted security, retention, lifecycle, and all of the policies from technology. You're not going to be a SharePoint security admin or an Exchange security admin. It's going to be about group and all the products that come within. So if you want that group of people that are working on a confidential acquisition to share with outside users, you just say that the whole thing is classified as top secret or confidential. So first thing you should do is go set up those classification labels, even if you're not sure about the retention policies, because you can apply the policies to these labels afterwards. 101. Content location in hybrid scenarios, and of course, ownership and permissions management. Especially with what's going on where it's making it easier and easier to share. Obviously, that's amazing for our end users, but this is where most of the problems come from, is the wrong people have accidentally given access to others, and no one is really checking anymore who has access to what. In fact, as IT, you don't even have access to the SharePoint site like you used to. The group owners do. So some people tell me like, oh, well, this is all about culture of the organization. Nah, I don't find. I went to a toy company. They make toys. It's a fun company. They have slides in the office. We go from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor with slides. And their self-service lasted about a week as well. We're like, oh, hold on, Ben. I do toys with Disney. I've got patents. Where are they being created? Which site are they in? I'm going to hold on for self-service. I need to be able to control the sprawl. Literally their words. classification, retention policies, security. If it's going to be an Office 365 group where people are going to talk about toys and designs from new Disney or upcoming Disney movies, that whole thing is going to be controlled and locked down. Not just the SharePoint site locking to external users, but the Microsoft Teams where the chat happens, and the planner, and everything, because it's not about the individual products anymore. It's about the group of people getting work done. Life is still good? All right, excellent. My favorite comes from a fellow MVP, Martin from the Netherlands. And he said, you know what? It's just a feeling. It's the feeling of not being in control. I can't tell you exactly why I need to be able to do this, but what's going to happen with all of these sites? Who's managing it? Who's maintaining them? Who's cleaning them up? It's really hard to fight emotion with rationale. It is where we are at. I did some research as well. And we looked at our information, we looked at our data, we looked at our surveys. And these are relatively smaller numbers in terms of migration, but we can see there's a shift already. Classic SharePoint is starting to go down in the environments that we're seeing. People are making the switch to modern SharePoint, and soon already switching more and more to connected to an Office 365 group. So we're already seeing a shift where last year I was seeing a lot more classic SharePoint, and now it's already an equal pie chart. Very soon we see SharePoint site collections being able to be groupified. So existing standalone site collections can be connected to groups, which is really where all of this is going. Does your Office 365 tenant have groups or Teams service turned on? Yes, everyone can create groups. Self-service is starting to be enabled more and more. What you have to understand is what are the implications for you to have it on, and what are the implications for you to have it off. If you have it off, there's things that you're not going to be able to use. If you have it on, you need to make sure that you set up your best friend's going to become the security and compliance center. You want to go there because now the retention policies, the labels, everything is going there so that tomorrow if there's a new product that gets joined to an Office 365 group, all of the security policies go with it. So what's happened, what's changed? Essentially, the ownership has flipped. It's no longer the IT admin creating these site collections, these teams, these groups. It's actually anyone in the organization. I have one of our customers, thousands of users, multiple Office, and he actually got mad at me in a call. He's like, look, Ben, stop calling them power users. Everyone in my company, every end user is now a power user because everyone in my company can create their own thing now. So don't tell me they have power users that have been trained. It's like, it's not happening anymore. I have everyone in our company, and I can't go out and train everybody. I can't control the rollout of these entire things all the time, and I cannot choose the updates that are coming up. So I need to find other solutions. What we found so far, because again, you and everyone is fairly new to all of this. The self-service has existed for a long time, but in the consumer space. I go to Facebook, create my event, create my group, creates a page, links to Google Maps. Great. Now that's all coming to SharePoint, the Teams for the chat, the planner for the cards. Everything is linked together. Training and constant communication. Have some champions. Have some people that know about groups, that know the impact. Typically, hopefully, group owners. I often link it with, this is my own word, since Microsoft puts intelligent in front of everything. I said, all right, we're going to have intelligent self-service. And it's actually a middle ground. If you have Azure AD Premium, you can actually say, this side of the room, these few users are the only people that can create Office 365 groups in self-service, but the other people in the company cannot. They are the champions, they've identified in each business unit, and people know to go to them to get the Office 365 groups. But what about, you don't have Azure AD Premium? What do? The thing that you can do, and it's going to be the follow-up slide, is there's a session that you can look up, is set up your own provisioning service. You can set up a Power App or a form, however you like, combined with a Microsoft Flow that triggers an Azure I know it sounds super complicated, but you can do it where you can set up who can create Office 365 groups and sites by themselves, and you can also change that behavior depending on the type of site that you want to create. It's a communication site, self-service. It's an Office 365 group. Okay, it generates an Exchange email, generates an object in AD. Okay, we're going to wait a little bit. We have an approval process. However, if it's people from this department, self-service. If you want that, you actually have to set it up yourself. If you want self-service and you don't have Azure AD Premium, you'll have, and I recommend you do, a Power Apps with a Flow. There's a session. I have the number in the next slide. There's also, I put a link at the bottom of the slide. The slides are available with all of the different possibilities in terms of management built in by Microsoft. From labels to retention to Office 365 group soft delete, where you can recover your group within a certain amount of days. But you have to think about all of the different options. The session for this is session 3273, but we'll go over it. Always stay in touch with the Security and Compliance Center. Have a plan for the end of life. What's going to happen when your group has no more activity? And what do you do with it? Do you archive it? How? Where does it go? How do you recover it? A lot of questions because there isn't anything out of the box. So we have to start looking at some of the options. This is the session. This is the Power App that they've created. You put the name of the site, and depending on what type of site template or site design you choose, a different flow will kick off so that you can go and do the self-service or limited or with approval. I strongly recommend you look at, either you look at created groups every day, either you have Azure AD Premium and you use it, or you set up something custom or third-party providers, of course. Bottom line is, let's start making owners accountable a little bit. They create their own groups. The ownership has flipped. Let's look at some very basic ways to say, look, is this group still used? Yes or no, right? There's no activity. Is it used? Do you want to archive it? Hey, something just been shared with an anonymous user in your site. Is this okay? Because I don't know anymore. But you have to validate this. Let's make the owners of groups and sites accountable without making MIT and give that feedback back to you. I have a little magazine here. It's no product. It's just a bunch of MVPs, some people from Microsoft that have written content to help you in your move to Office 365 and the adoption with tips. There's Premier Field engineers from Microsoft in there. There's MVPs. There's content. There's great content. I may still have some copies if you go to the ShareGate booth and ask, let's use a secret word. Go to the booth and say, apricot. Say it. Say that, and we'll see what happens. And if we still have them, just go grab it. Otherwise, if you go to this URL, we have it in PDF format. Thank you very, very much. I hope you found some value, and I'll see you later.